I would like to take some of your time today to share with you a worry that came over me as I listened to the June 13, 2011 GOP presidential debate broadcast on CNN. When I listened to this debate, it was very disquieting because it was clear in my mind that these candidates had sanctioned Islamophobia in the United States of America. What's so troubling is that there are over 3 million Muslims living in the U.S. today. And it seemed to be a litmus test where folks had to say they didn't want any Muslims involved in their presidential cabinets and so forth, to legitimate them as true potential presidents of the United States of America. Now, where my worry comes in centers on the fact that I felt that this, I won't call it a debate, I'll call it question and answer period, because that's what it was. It wasn't a debate, in my opinion. Tend to follow a spirit that was developed roughly 100 years earlier, in 1915, when D.W. Griffith showed the infamous Ku Klux Klan movies to President Woodrow Wilson, which was the first movies to be shown in the White House. Now, this movies portrayed black males as lusting white women and going through all sorts of things to get after them, and that the Ku Klux Klan was the saviors that came in and saved white women from these lusting black males. This offered a legitimacy to the Ku Klux Klan's devastating anti-black activities, including lynching. Now, as I listen to the Republicans argue their case against seeing Muslims as Americans, I was very disturbed that I should have gone and gotten some Ku Klux Klan regalia and passed it out on that stage. Now, what President Woodrow Wilson, some argue he did, some argue he didn't, said about that movies was like writing history with lightning. And my only regret is it's all so terribly true. That movies really depicted the black male as a scoundrel, deserving of whatever the Ku Klux Klan did. One of their underpinning goals was to prevent miscegenation, which is children I guess today's term for that would be biracial children. I look at my own grandchildren, all of whom are biracial. Following that, you had the racial integrity laws. I think Virginia was the one that had it, that really defined one drop of African American blood made one African American. That this whole Ku Klux Klan idea was 100% pure Anglo-Saxon. That these would become the supreme rulers in the United States of America, and they didn't want anybody else of any color. They also had a second game plan here in which Christianity was made the de facto religion of the United States of America, and more poignantly, Protestant Christianity was made more poignant, because within that they could then justify all of their actions against African Americans. Now, when you think about that, that justified treating the Jews with disdain. And now that same emotion has cropped up again, and it's now justifying treating Muslims with great disdain. Now we can argue the case, and some do, that the fact that the Muslim women dress up in complete cover and so forth, that brings a sense of fear, and that we don't trust these people. If you think back, that same kind of argument put over 100,000 Japanese in internment camps during the Second World War. But I don't recall any internment camps for German-born Americans. Perhaps I missed something, and if I have, please point that out to me. Now, what I'm really concerned about is that presidential debate really has offered an underpinning for a reincarnation of Jim Crow laws all across this nation, but a different kind of Jim Crow law than the past. In the past, you were focused on African Americans. Now I think the new Jim Crow laws are focused on two groups. Two. First off, the Muslims. We're in effect writing off over 3 million people in the U.S. that are Muslims. Then the second group has to do with the non-white illegal immigrants. The Hispanic is carrying the cross for the illegal immigrants. Just as blacks had skin color that could be identified easily, now the Hispanics have a cultural look that's identified in a different language, meaning Spanish. So you can now have these groups working against them. Now, if I'm the Republicans, I think I'm not going to get any African American votes, so I write them off. I'm not going to get many Hispanic votes, so I'm going to write them off. I probably won't get a whole lot of Asian votes, so I can write them off. What I'm driving at, ladies and gentlemen, is that I can write off all people who have any color or ethnicity that's non-Christian. And to me, that works counterpoise to our belief in diversity in this nation. And my worry, this bothered me more than anything else, because I'm a Republican, is that we've allowed these right-wing racist juggernauts to run over our party and try to create a whites-only President of the United States of America. And that, to me, ladies and gentlemen, is the nightmare of the 2012 election. So I asked you to join with me in doing everything legally possible to defeat this whole idea of creating a monolithic whites-only government in this U.S. Just look at the state laws that are also being passed. Anti-immigrant. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. With that, I want to thank you for sharing my emotions, and I hope to be talking to you again in the future. May God bless America.